Welcome to the sales strategy for turning one lead into 50. This is an SEO sales strategy geared towards allowing you to take the marketing tools and the research team that we make available to you free of charge to help you close your leads and to figure out how to maximize that. But this presentation is about even more than just telling you how to maximize your time and our team and the tools. It's about identifying the common problem involved in sales, being able to document those, and then to show you how this groundbreaking strategy will not only save you time, but it will ensure you consistent SEO sales. So one of the first things that we want to do, of course, is to identify the problem. The problem in sales is almost always, how do you get a hold of your leads? And we address this all the time with a lot of the different companies that we work with, which is how to go about getting those leads. And even once you do get those leads, it's challenging enough because with this workflow that we'll be presenting to you will achieve success for nearly any salesperson. But yes, it's assuming that your salespeople or yourself, if you're your salesperson, has the social skills, intelligence, and perseverance to close the leads once they are on your table. Typically, when people engage in SEO sales, they use every method available. Generic email campaigns, reputation management, outreach, cold calling, physical mailing, online networking, and in-person introduction. But what is the problem in general? It's not that you don't have options on how to go out there and get a qualifiable lead on the table. Really, it's the amount of time and investment that it takes just to come up with one qualifiable lead. Now, maybe if you have marketing funnels put in place and you have people contacting you, that's one thing. But when you take someone or a sales team and you sit them down and say, go find a lead, how much time does it take them to do that using the generic sales coaching advice that's out there? And oftentimes it does take a lot of time to find a qualified lead. And one of the things with keeping salespeople motivated is for them to be able to close their leads. But as per our statistics, which could be a little bit skewed, but per our statistics, salespeople in the SEO industry have about a 15% closing ratio. Yes, some companies have a much higher closing ratio. Some people have a lower closing ratio. But as per our stats, we're looking at people to have around a 15% closing ratio after they qualified a lead and brought it to their table, which is fairly low. And for most salespeople, or especially when you're a consultative salesman, that can be discouraging. And that vicious cycle of having to take a lot of time to produce a qualified lead and then having a low closing probability like 15%, that can really create a vicious cycle. It can be very discouraging, and that actual discouragement can kill sales teams. So there is a problem, one with the amount of time that's invested to get a qualifiable lead, then your chances of closing them with a consultative approach. So the problem has been identified, but what is it that we need in place for a solution? Getting smarter. Well, of course, getting smarter is what everyone needs to do, can always do. But first of all, we need you to be able to start your sales effort now, and even your sales team. Whenever you sit down and you're motivated, or salespeople wake up, and oftentimes salespeople are emotional people, when they're ready to go, they're ready to go. They want to get on the phone, they want to be in action, and they want to be in front of someone that wants to be talking to them. Salespeople want to talk to clients, they want to be inside the game, they want to be inside the opportunity to be able to close new sales. But having to sit in a chair and figure out how you're going to find a lead, and let alone cold calling being discouraging, makes that difficult. So one of the things that we need for a solution is for you to be able to get your leads right away and start your sales within 5 minutes. Secondly, we need to increase your efficiency and reduce your costs in lead generation. Because if you're taking all the time and investment in finding your leads to bring to your table, one, it's either a time investment, which does cost money, or you're paying for the lead in one way or another, and that's going to cost money. And either way, typically the downfall to a company that's not doing good in sales has to do with the efficiency in their lead generation. And you also need a tactic that's going to fix that efficiency that's going to be scalable. So secondly, that's a problem that we need a solution to overcome. And thirdly, lastly, you need to be able to increase your odds of closing the leads that hit your door. So we know what variables we want to overcome. Before we get into the answers to that, let's look at the stereotypical lead workflow. The stereotypical lead workflow is this. You go out through your various resources or your marketing funnels coming in, and you get a hold of a qualified lead of some sort, or a lead. And You go through your process, whatever it is. What happens if you do not close your lead? Then you start all over again. Typically you start back from square one, and you go and you look for a lead again, and you do the rinse and repeat cycle. Does that sound familiar? Are you currently doing that? To a certain degree, everyone is doing that, but the difference is being able to identify this cycle and to state this cycle, which is the most generic cycle that people follow in sales. So introducing the outline to the stereotypical lead workflow. You get your lead, you submit a proposal request in our system, you pitch the client, you hope for the best. As per our statistics, you've got about a 15% odds of closing that client on SEO and related marketing services. And if the client does close, then they sign contract to send you the payment. Awesome, wonderful. But what happens when they don't close, which is about the 85% odds? Well, they don't close, either they go away or they become quiet, and then you give up on the lead. You start over looking again for a brand new lead in any area, any industry, especially if you're starting out, or even big sales teams typically. It's anyone under the moon that's interested in marketing services, and you start back over from right away. Gather your lead, go back through the very beginning, and it's a circle, circle, circle. Notes about the stereotypical lead workflow here. Now, notes on this. Yes, as per the average to us, 15% chances of closing the lead. But really, what's the definition of a qualified lead? And by a qualified lead, I mean a lead that came through a referral or a marketing funnel, or someone that you proactively contacted and spoken to verify that they're interested in purchasing online marketing services. Now, it would take an average salesperson 7 qualified leads based on the closing ratio of 15% in order to be able to close one of them, given the average closing percentages that we see. So estimated that for each qualified lead, your salesperson would on average put in 6 hours trying to close just one lead. Whether they were successful or not, on average for one lead per the stereotypical workflow, the salesperson would put in 6 hours to close that lead. And that's a very conservative number. Those of you out there know that you can spend a lot more time on that. Note number 4, given the above numbers, keep in mind at a 15% closing ratio, on average, you're going to go through 7 leads that are qualified, and you're pitching them, and you're going through the process before you close one of them. On average, it's 1 out of 7, and that's about a 15% chance. Meaning that you could be looking at, per each lead that you close on an SEO typical consultative sales, 42 hours of invested time before you close one of them at the end of the day, because you had to go through 7 based on these percentages. So it's very good for you to be able to see in your mind industry averages on what it's going to take for you if you're following the stereotypical means to be able to close a lead. And if most people would sit there and say, well, if it takes 42 hours and I have one salesperson, that means they should, on average, be able to close one lead in 1 week. But that's given that you can produce 7 qualified leads. And get into any extended definition of what would mean qualified to be able to hit that 15% closing ratio. So now you understand the stereotypical sales workflow, which is very clear to everyone, and this is just putting some numbers to it and putting it into perspective. Before I get into introducing the master SEO sales strategy, I need to address one more thing. That one of the reasons why companies stay stereotypical and they're willing to take any lead from any industry is because to get into a particular niche takes a particular time and marketing direction. It's true that one of the things that you can do to not be stereotypical is to focus on a particular niche. Maybe you're going to go after a specific division of the medical industry, or just accountants, or automotive dealerships, or take your pick on a niche. Most everyone watching this video has probably heard of whenever you're a marketing company, if you specialize in a particular niche, then you can build momentum, right? You can take maybe if you're targeting pesticide companies, your testimonials that you build up apply more to other testimonial companies. If you have specialized email templates or sales collateral or whatnot, it applies towards the pesticide industry. To say I market solely and do web design just for pesticide companies. And whenever you're geared towards a particular niche, that doesn't make you so stereotypical. It does make you stand out. But the reason why most people don't go into a particular niche is because they feel a risk factor. They feel if they put all of their time and energy into branding their company towards a particular niche, that they close themselves off to the majority of all other business and every other business category that they could be servicing, number one. Number two, the reason why people don't have an entity that services all business categories, and then maybe another entity that they set up or a separate site that just focuses on, for instance, just pesticide companies, is because it takes bandwidth and it takes time, it takes resources, and it's a distraction because as a basic simple rule of business, to always keep your sales strategy focused and do less but do it better. So in regards to that, yeah, there are a lot of benefits to going into a particular niche, but for the most part, people don't do that because they're not unsure of the niche they can get into, and they're not confident that they can succeed just in one niche, and they want to keep their options open. So with that being said, this strategy that I'm going to be going into is going to be geared towards you not having to stay in one particular niche, keeping your marketing direction open to any geographic area in any business category, which gives you more flexibility, right? That's what this is geared towards, although you could use it just in one niche. And leading into this, after that conversation, real quick, we need to simply review the tools that you get so you understand what you're dealing with in your hands that you can utilize to increase the efficiency of your sales strategy. So you have a team and you have the tools behind you to provide the basics for the solution that we're needing. As you should be familiar with, we have the keyword information, the competition analysis, the site grader report, and the online presence report. When you submit a proposal request, you get this amazing research for free to help you close your leads. This is highly specialized research. So when you submit the proposal request, you're familiar with this type of keyword research that you get back. You get back the keyword research, you get back all your reports, and this is in a live interface. Get your keyword research, of course, you get your competition analysis as well. And keep in mind, whenever you get this from your interface, such as here, you have your domain masking, so you have your public link, which means you can take that public link on your entire research suite, you can put it into the search engine, and bam, here's your public link you can send to the client, and they have this interface with full restrictions. They can come in and they can see all this research, remember, such as if you were pitching Bug Maniacs, and this would be all the research they got. So they can search through the keywords if they want to real quick. They can highlight them. They can go to the competition analysis page. Well, while we're here on the keywords, of course, they see the monthly search volume. They see the cost per click that would be here. They see their rankings. Then they can go to the competition analysis page, which is from that button. And then off the competition analysis page, still off the public link, they can see their competitors. They can switch competitors by clicking change competitor that they want to see their rankings on, and they can view their own rankings over here on the left versus the rankings of their competitors. You should all know this already, the Google local rankings and the Google rankings, and this is industry intelligence. They have their local presence report, which is available off of the link. So the site grader reports, the local presence reports goes over and grades there. Online presence and their Google Plus being Yahoo local, their online directory presence versus their competition. Remember all of this? Competition, where they're located at, their reputation. Also have the site grader reports, which goes over a bird's eye view, some issues that would be had on their website for SEO, and another version of a site grader report that is more in-depth that we call our Bang Site Audit report. And all of this is all in one central location. And what a lot of people are discrediting is the value in this research. This takes researchers. We staff a team right now. Now our team's up to six full-time people, and all they do is put this research together for you. These 3 reports are pulled out of software that we have. But the competition analysis and the keyword research is done by the team. They have to process that and select those keywords. So, as I just showed you in that example, I've got all of this research for that particular client that I was going to be pitching Bug Maniacs. And if I set myself down in your shoes and I say, okay, I just pitched Bug Maniacs and hey, it didn't go so well and they decided not to go with me. Maybe they're getting pitched by someone else and they turned me down, or maybe they just stopped talking to me. Whatever the case is, it went dead and I was not able to close them. Sometimes proposals get turned down. And the question is, what are you going to do when your proposal gets turned down? That's the question. And we can think about it and think about it, but the question is, what can you do? Well, what kind of materials did you already generate for them? You already had all of those reports that you worked on. We worked on for you. All that research that was generated, that keyword research, all of their rankings that were generated versus their competition, the different audit reports. And what do you want to do from there? Do you want to follow the stereotypical lead workflow, sales workflow, where you put all your effort into one lead, then you cycle back around and you just start all over again and forget about the lead that you came from? Or is there a way that you can use these reports and these research to present to other companies within the same industry or niche? Now think about that a little bit. A lot of this research applies generally to the entire industry. It's not just particular to the one client. For instance, this research, all of these keywords would apply to every single pest control company in Jacksonville. And so would the monthly search volume applies to them, and all these other stats, except for the rankings, apply specifically to bug maniacs. Otherwise, all this other research is industry specific. It's not client specific. The competition analysis is industry specific. Any competitor in that industry or related business could go in, put in their business name if they apply to these keywords, right? If those keywords represent the audience that's searching for them, and all of Bug Maniac's competitors or any other pesticide company in the Jacksonville or Northern Florida area could go in, put in their name, and see where they're ranking for keywords that they want to be ranking for. And to a competitor, these bank site audit reports, online presence report, would show a tremendous example of the type of research you could do for them. So now hopefully you're starting to see, the gold at the end of the rainbow, that you can utilize what you have already done and continue on with it. You can present these concrete reports for other actual companies that are all in the same locale and business niches. It is such targeted sales collateral for you to be able to send out to everyone else in that area in the same business category to show them the competence that you have in their industry. So introducing the workflow behind turning one lead into 50. I call this workflow the hyper-local niche lead workflow. For short, I call it the HLN workflow. This workflow starts out the same as the stereotypical. You need to find an initial lead, right? But the big difference in this workflow is that your initial lead doesn't even need to be a qualified lead. You could just point to Google Maps and find someone in a geographic area that you want to target, in a business category that you want to target, and get started right away. And really, that's the power behind it, because if you don't close your initial lead, you're going to bundle up that research and all the time you have into it, and you're going to send it to everyone else in that location per that business category as proof of what you've done. And you're going to have a greater chances of closing a client after your initial failure, because you're sending it out to so many other people. I mean, preferably you'd be sending out that research and everything you have to another 50 companies to show them what you can do. And this really goes hand in hand with so many different things, as in all aspects of life. It is most important. What's most important is not what you do when you succeed, but what are you doing when you fail? And especially in sales, that is such an important subject matter. What are you going to do when you fail? But do you think about the time and commitment that you really put into that? The H&L workflow is designed to turn failure into success, which has as much to do with saving time as it has to do with keeping morale alive and momentum going. Let's analyze a little bit more closely the amount of time that you have into that initial lead. Like for me on that example on Bug Maniacs, what did I do to prepare for that lead? What did I invest my time in with that lead particularly? Well, I needed to research their industry a little bit. I need to at least know that I understand a bit about the pesticide industry. I would say I need to properly research at least an hour in their industry if I'm really serious about closing this lead. I need to understand their products and services by priority. Give that 30 minutes. I need to understand their marketing needs and demands, especially during a consultation before or after. Say I got 30 minutes into that. I need to research their competition if I really take the time to do it so that I can know my lingo during the call. Maybe I take 30 minutes during that. I need to analyze their keyword research that I get back after I put in a proposal request and establish their top keywords. That could take me up to an hour. I need to analyze their rankings versus their competition. Maybe that takes me 15 minutes. And if I put the time into their free site audit reports that come back in the online presence reports, I need at least 15 minutes on each category to get through those. And then I've got to engage the client in a consulting and adapt to the industry lingo. Maybe the consulting session and time back and forth with the client while I was dealing with that lead is an hour and 45 minutes. Maybe it's a lot more. So whenever I say about 6 hours that you spend in that initial lead, you have a time investment, and it's very important whenever you're evaluating your sales strategy to understand why the sales strategy that you choose is very important, which is why I'm taking so much time to show you that in a theoretical situation exactly what it is that you're putting your time and your investment into on that initial lead. And when that time and investment in that initial lead does not work out, the idea is to not stop your momentum in that direction. So what if you were pitching a pest control company that happened to be in Jacksonville, or in another situation you happen to be pitching a automobile dealership in Denver, Colorado? What you can do is stay in that locale, stay in that niche. If you were pitching an automobile industry in the Denver area, then stay there. Keep your momentum there. You already have at least 6 hours invested into it, and probably more time in that by now. Just understanding the research and the situation of a client that happens to be particularly local and happens to belong to a particular business niche. Stay in that locale. Stay in that niche. You already have the time applied to it. You already have the research. You already have the reports for one client. But what if you could apply that and, like we said before, send out that research as really targeted sales collateral to get a hold of other people in the same locale and the same business category. So in that situation, you would send it out to other automobile dealerships in Denver if the one that you initially pitched did not close. You don't give up. So let's look at this hyper-local niche lead workflow from a bit of a bird's eye view here. It differs from the stereotypical workflow in that if the client does not close, the initial client that you were pitching, and you go down to your step 4, you lost the client for whatever reason, or they went quiet, which is the probability, then this is the difference. Instead of cycling back around and doing the cycle over and over again, you continue on with your momentum, with the time, and with the investment that you had into that initial lead, which is what makes this smarter. And now we have a new step, step 5. What do you want to do? You want to collect their competitors in that area or related businesses, and you want to collect those together. You want to find out who they are, which can be done easily by going online. And then what you want to do is you want to put together an email to email everyone. So if I use the automobile dealership in Denver example, what I would do is I would go out for everyone in the Denver and maybe even Fort Worth or even greater Colorado area, who knows, whoever applies to Denver automobile dealerships. I would go out and find all other automobile dealerships in that area, and I would email them the targeted research that I already have in their industry, even though it's for a competitor. I'm going to email it to them so that they understand the quality of research that I have in their industry, that I already have time invested in understanding their industry and that geographic area, and that I have intelligent information to be sharing with them. I'm going to do a screencast over the research that I have back in that module, send them a link to it. I'm probably going to send them sales collateral, maybe some industry research, and I'm going to send that out too. Let's even say that I send it to 50 potential related leads. And after that, if I don't get a response and I have an email system set up that's an intelligent system, I can go in and re-email the people that did not respond. And if those don't respond, then I can make a follow-up phone call to everyone that did not respond out of that initial 50 that I had emailed, because I've already sent them to. You see the sequence that's there? What's nice about this is, even if you didn't want to do step 7 and step 8 and you just wanted to rely on step 6 to get your responses, still, you have a plan. You didn't give up at step 4. You got smarter. You stayed in the locale and the niche, and you sent the research out to their competitors, because it's a tremendous email to be able to be sending out. And if you do make a follow-up email and a follow-up phone call, at least you have a channel. At least you can sit down and say, hey, what am I supposed to do today? What can I do today myself, because I'm motivated to boost my own sales? Well, you want to send up follow-up emails to the step 6 that you did? Do you want to do follow-up phone calls on the step 8? At least now you're targeted. You're not on a baseline cold call. And if you did get on a cold call, what are you going to go over on your cold call? At least on this one, if you make it to step 8, and you did a reminder call to someone and they didn't respond to you, then you have a tremendous amount of material to go over with them that's going to really help you get them on the line. But chances are, during step 6, on that initial email out to their competitors, you're going to get a response. You won't even have to send follow-up emails or get into step 8 on follow-up calls. You should be getting your response here. Moving on to step 9, you should have a 20% response rate to your emails and calls. So when you go to pitch the clients that have responded, and let's even just say out of the 50, maybe you could consider from the response rate at 20%, maybe instead of 10, which is 20% of 50, let's say that out of that 10, even 8 of them were really what you wanted to consider a qualified lead. Even if you have 8 of them, right, and you put a 15% odds on, and you've got 8 more leads that you've generated, with the 15% closing odds, having 8 more leads, now you've got 100% odds of closing one of those leads. And then your client, when the client closes, you sign the contract and send payment. But the thing about it is, that's nice about this workflow, is that if you give up at step 4, you're going to rinse and repeat with your 15% odds. But if you stay in this funnel and you use the research that you have to stay in that locale and you stay in that niche and you go after more people in that area, that you can have 100% odds of closing someone if you're a good salesman. And at least you have steps to follow. At least you're not bouncing around like a pinball machine looking for leads left and right. And this could close more than one lead. Maybe in the area you end up closing more than one lead. Or maybe you're able to use the research that you had for Denver automobile dealerships to email out to a new area in Denver because you want to go after Colorado Springs now, but you can get into that market using your Denver proof of research that you could do for the automobile industry in the Colorado area. So some notes on this workflow as well. Yes, this hyperlocal lead follow-up, workflow system really allows you to treat each lead you have as if you're in that niche, but it's a local niche-oriented lead workflow that you can go through with this. But it's also great whenever you do this for each lead that you have that were not able to close. You do this sort of a broadcast system, if you will. It allows you to understand that niche a bit more and a bit more until maybe one of these days you might decide to stay in one of the niches and keep within the same sort of a strategy within that niche, which would really be up to you. Again, because the chances of you closing whenever you look at this workflow, really the odds are after that initial lead, it's the whole follow-up. It's the whole sequence of finding competitors and sending out the targeted email to all of them that really has the weight on the odds for you to be able to close more clients off of that initial research because you have more leads. Because of that, what you do when the initial lead fails is why it's not as important that that initial lead be a really qualified one, which is what would allow you to really just point your finger to Google Maps and choose one and go forward with it, because you know if they don't close, you're going to go through this sequence and you're going to get a hold of someone that will. So hopefully I'm not beating a dead horse here, but I want to cover real quick that how this addresses the 3 problems that we need to resolve to come up with our solution that we went over earlier. And I just talked about that one. You need to be able to get started right away. But with the HLN lead workflow, you can go to Google Maps, point at a city, find someone in the business category that you want to go after and get started right away. Maybe you don't even get a hold of them and you failed on it, but you have your grand follow-up strategy that you can use to find all their competitors to go after, and that's what's going to yield the probability and the closing ratio for you. So it's not so much the very first initial lead that you're going to be going after, which is why they don't need to be qualified. The problem number 2 that we addressed earlier in the presentation, you need to be able to improve your efficiency in lead generation. Well, with this workflow, initial lead generation has 100% efficiency because they don't need to be qualified. You just step in and go find who you want to start out with. And whenever you do that, I mean, you might even want to choose whoever's already ranking really well, because so whenever you follow up with their competition about this valuable research that you did on their competitor, you can show that the competitor that you did all that research for was someone they probably know about because they're all over the place online and they're more apt to want to know about how they did what they did to be successful. So kind of a switch there. So it does have 100% efficiency because they don't have to be qualified. You can just step in and get your leads. It doesn't cost money. It doesn't take any time. So that fixes problem number 2 we stated before. And the third problem that we stated before that we needed a solution to is being able to increase your odds of closing the lead, up to your conversion percentage of the leads that are on your table. With this workflow, what you're doing is you're taking one lead and you're potentially turning it into another 50, right? If you take a 20% response rate on that highly targeted email, maybe you're only going to get back 8, 10 or 8, depends. So what is this doing? It's at least taking one lead, and it should at least turn it into enough leads in the same locale, in the same business category that you can stay in, given a very conservative low industry average on a closing percentage, to give you a game plan that would say, okay, well, if the initial one doesn't close, I've got 7 more out of my initial investment in it, and I am going to close one of them. So it does up the conversion factor if you take that initial lead, generated 3 more for you to stay in and close. Because the most important thing with sales is that sales happens, that you have a game plan, that whenever you need to push hard, you have a system, you have a plan, and you can push on it and you can make it work. So you get the game plan. So now you have your reports, you have your research for your initial lead. Your initial lead didn't work out, and now you want to go with the HL lead workflow, and you want to go and find that lead's competitors or related businesses all in the area, and you want to show them your industry intelligence and research that you have for them to be looking at, as well as an example of additional research that you could be doing for them that you did for their competitor. So how do you put all of this together? Not only are we going to talk to you about the concept of this, but we're going to handhold you through everything you need to know about sending out this email. So let's list out everything that should go into that email, right? That you're going to send out to your initially didn't work out, so you're going to send out an email to all of their competitors. What should be in that email? Well, the research that you did for the initial lead, that keyword research that you did has the public link that I was showing you. You need to send them that public link to the keyword information module. And inside of that module, of course, there's the keyword research, competition analysis, site creator reports, and online presence report like we went over. But I also recommend that you do a quick screencast video, just a 5-minute video, to talk to them about what this research is, because it's a little bit confusing for the competitors to be getting this information because it's not for them. It was done for one of their competitors, and they don't know how to go through this keyword information module. They don't know how to search through keywords or what these keyword information means or what the competition analysis means. And how are you supposed to talk to 50 different people that you send it out to at the same time? Well, you do that through a video. So you do a generic video, not talking to any one company, but talking as if you're talking to anyone that's a competitor on the initial lead that you were pitching in a quick 5-minute video. And then I recommend attaching the sales collateral. As you know, in the document library, we have our absolutely phenomenal SEO and the local buzz sales collateral. I recommend making sure that you brand that to you and that you include that in the email, because you want to let them know what services you offer. And then 4, if you can find some sort of authoritative industry intelligence about, for instance, auto dealerships, I'm sure you can look up online auto dealerships revenue trends or something like that. We actually have some industry reports which are not quite up to date. They're like 2011, but it gives you an idea. If you wanted to send this out to, say, 50 of their competitors, if you did want to show some industry intelligence, you could show something like that. And literally, all you would need to do is Google it for a bit and download something that looks intelligent about their industry to comment on. So let's imagine that you're sitting there and you happen to be in Denver and you are an automobile dealership and you receive an email from a marketing company, and in that email says that they have competitive intelligence on on the automobile industry within Denver and that they want to set a meeting with you. And so you open up that email and you see that there is actual research that's done on one of their competitors that's inside of that. That alone is so much different. Because you're all marketing and design firms for the most part listening in on this video, you know that you get a tremendous amount of emails from every single marketing company that's out there that's just spamming you with these generic emails trying to get you to respond. But have any of them ever gotten a hold of you and said, listen, I've done research for your competitor and I have really, pertinent research and industry intelligence for you that I can go over with you because I'm doing research in your location, in your business category, and I've done this for a competitor of yours or maybe more than one, and I want to set a meeting with you to go over this. That keyword information module with the live link on all those reports is so powerful because that sets your email apart from any other email that people are going to get that they're used to getting and archiving, because it's real research. It's real. It clearly took someone a lot of time to put that together, and this is not a standard stereotypical email. Lastly, the industry intelligence that I talked about attaching, that can be optional. You can send that to them as an attachment, and if you do include it, it's just like I said before, it's going to let them know that you know a lot about their industry beyond just being an SEO consultant, beyond just saying I have keyword information. If you're able to attach any document that has to do with industry intelligence, that's going to help you out a lot, in my opinion. And for example, in the dashboard, if you go to the document library and search for industry reports, and you click on the link to view, and it'll actually download this, and you open it up and you'll see all these industry reports inside of here. It would look something like this. It would tell them, for instance, this view right here tells them the percentage of businesses throughout the United States, for example, that are in the pesticide industry. This is a pesticide marketing this industry report. So I could tell someone that's in Florida that in Florida, 4.1% of all pesticide companies happen to be in Florida. But if I go back up to the top, you'll see this report goes over a lot more. Industry at a glance, the revenue, annual growth, a number of businesses, exports, profit. This is like, I think, a 37-page document. It's very, very, very in-depth into the pesticide manufacturing industry. And this is relevant information. You don't even have to read through this whole thing. If you just go online and find some respectable industry intelligence to email to them, it shows them that you're more than just a knockoff guy that's talking to them about marketing. So you can take your time to do that. You don't even need to read it. Just send them over something really smart. You're sending out to 50 people. You might as well take, 2 minutes of your time, 5 minutes of your time to go find something about their industry to send to them so that they know that you understand their industry. So beyond that, I even went so far as to write you the email template that you can use. And you can download this if you go to the document library. I'll tell you what, at the end of the presentation, I'll show you where to download this whole presentation if you want to have the same presentation in PowerPoint for your salesman. But you can use this email template. This is an example for a pesticide company in Florida. So what have I done? Of course, I buttoned up my research and I'm emailing that because they initially didn't work out, and I'm emailing it to all their competitors in the Florida area, in the northern Florida area. So my subject line would be something to the degree of Florida Pesticide Company competition analysis, important meeting request enclosed. Now, if you don't have an email program that allows you to customize the first names because it knows everyone that you're sending it to, then maybe you would remove hi first name and just start with this. But in short, this says, my company has been doing a tremendous amount of research and competition analysis for the pest control industry within Florida, particularly for your competitor, bugmaniacs.com. We have analyzed the top-ranking competitors online and what they did to succeed, and have stored more than 10,000 pages of ranking data throughout our research. Is that true? Did you really store more than 10,000 pages of ranking data throughout our research? Well, yeah, actually, that's what makes the competition analysis module work. You can enter in any competitor and know where they're ranking for all the keywords we researched really fast. So whenever we do keyword research for each keyword, let's say that we return to you 100 different keywords to look at for that particular locale per business category, right? For each keyword, and let's say we had 100 keywords, we crawl the top 150 positions and we store all of those web pages so that when you go and enter in a competitor in the competition analysis, it can tell you instantly where they're all ranking because we've already stored all that data. And if you take 100 times 150, you're looking at 15,000 records that we've stored. That's real. We really do that for you. So that is pertinent research that they can use. Template goes further on to say this research is vital intelligence for your company and we're willing to give you a consulting session regarding this data. The purpose of our research is to select one client in your area to help dominate their online marketing presence and of course bring you more clients and more leads. And then of course the email template addresses the awkward situation a little bit of why do we have this tremendous research? Because you were consulting for your lead that didn't work out, bugmaniacs.com, and your area, and for relevant reasons they were not able to engage in our elite online marketing services at this point in time. We would like to have the opportunity to share this extensive research with you during a 1-hour consulting session free of charge. Now, breaking away from reading this, keep in mind that research that you did for your initial lead, that's not confidential research. There's nothing not public about it. It's something that anyone could do on their own. Continuing on, we understand your time is precious and so is ours. If you're interested in speaking with us and looking to beat out your competitors online in the northern Florida area, contact us using any of the below contact options. Again, we're only looking to represent one pest control client in the northern Florida area. As you will see from our quality of our research, whichever client we market for, we will dominate for. So this gets interesting, and this is cool right here because if you want, you can say that you're only going to select one person from that area. But it kind of switches the table there. Instead of you pitching them, you're almost telling them that you're almost looking for one, as if not trying to sell one, but you're almost, as if you're holding, as if you're accepting applications, you know, because you're letting them know, but from the quality of our research, you know that we're going to dominate for you. You know that we're real, you know that we're in it, and here's the proof. I have a link to some of the research we have on one of your competitor, or you can say the competitor in your area, along with a screencast to show you how to navigate through the research. Here's the bread and butter. That's what sets this email apart from every other email that they're ever going to get in their inbox, because you just gave proof that you're real. Link to the research. So I have a link that goes, this is the public link that goes to the keyword information page, and here's a video link going over the research. If you download this document and you click on this video link here, I do a complete tutorial, and literally download this PowerPoint, click on this link. I do a complete tutorial for you if you'll click on this link here, telling you how to do a screencast on 5 minutes to go over the research and everything, just like I recommend you do, so you can put it in here like this. Continuing on, additionally, I have attached some information for you about online marketing services we offer, thus the sales collateral. The industry report attached will show you the national industry information about your specific business category, so you can see revenue and general industry trends. I look forward to sharing our in-depth research with you. Sincerely, whatever. You can modify this template however you want, but you can't deny that with those attachments that would be there, with this link to the keyword information module, with that screener video after you watch it and learn it, that if you weren't one of the competitors of for instance, bug maniacs in that area, that you wouldn't read this email, that you wouldn't open that up, that you would not be interested. That's a serious email, and that's what you're capable of doing if you don't give up with the time and effort that you invested into your very first lead that supposedly in this situation did not work out. And furthermore, on what about Screener? Well, Screener is a free program that you can use. That's Screener, SCREENR.com. And you can go in for free, super fast to record and make your presentation. And I even put together a video script for you. So not only do you have an example video link right here that you can click on that doesn't only show you an example Screener video, but it shows you how to start a Screener video and end it and send the link, which is so easy to do. It's so fast. You're going to be amazed. But throughout that video, this is the rough script that I followed. So if you even wanted to follow along on a script, yes, this one talks about the northern Florida area, and this talks about pest control, but you just swap northern Florida, for instance, for Denver, and pest control for automobile dealerships, and you have your entire video script. Boom. Easy. Now, after you get your materials together, you got everything together for that email, you've got your research link, you've got your email template, you've got your Screener video put together, ready to send out to preferably 50 of the competitors of the client, the lead that did not work out for you. You're going to send it targeted to the local business category. How do you go about gathering the leads to send that email to? Well, you can do it manually. You can go online and you can go into Google or other business directories, and you can go in and manually mine out that information and compile all those emails, and you can send out that email through your Gmail if you want to. And even if that's what it came down to on what you needed to do, at least you have a strong sales plan that you know is solid and the numbers add up. Maybe it's not an overnight sales plan, but it's strong and it's solid. Now, if you didn't want to do it all manually, there are several pieces of software that will mine leads for you, and some of them will even send the emails out for you. And I don't want to get into these too much, but using these tools can rapidly evolve what you're doing, and I hope everyone doesn't just stop the HLN lead workflow that I have put in front of you, because I want you to say, even if I don't have the software, it's still worth it for me to do, even if I need to go into Google and grab these competitors' email addresses out myself, because it's that solid of a program. So don't get scared or don't get caught up in, and if you wanted to use some of these lead generating tools, which pretty much just mine out the email addresses and contact information for the competitors of the lead that you weren't able to close, because these can have a learning curve and it can take you some time to set up. So maybe you want to start by manually finding them and sending them out. If you do want to know some software that can do it, these pieces of software can do it, and I'll do a follow-up video and email it out going over this software more. Some of these pieces of software can really help you out. They can organize your email templates in the software, they can auto-mine the emails, and they can send the email out. Although I will be following up on all the other types of software on a review, the localizer lead tool is an example that I have in the document library. We have, if you type in localizer lead tool, there is a 50% discount I have for everyone. But I need to follow up and do more of a thorough review on the other types of tools that are out there, especially that Lead Kahuna and like Places Scout and things like that. And although I really want to follow up on another video going over more tools, I just wanted to show you what this tool can do. So let's say that I had, for instance, the Denver automobile dealership example. So I did my research for my lead in Denver, and they didn't close on me. They went quiet. They stopped responding. So I decided not to quit, to bundle up my research, to use my email template to do a quick screener video and send it to 50 other automobile dealerships in that area of proof of my intelligence in that industry and the type of research that I can do for them, because I am not walking away from my time investment. So I bundled it all up, and now I'm on my mission to go and mine out the people that I'm going to send this to, because this is the most powerful part. True, you can go to Google and you can mine these yourself, or I could go in and I can type in Denver and maybe I try auto into a tool like this, which is the localizer lead tool. And what is this thing going to do? Well, and again, remember, these are tools, so you got to learn the tool, you got to go through their FAQ sessions and watch the videos and all of that. But this tool will mine all of the Denver auto related business directory information that it can find out there, and it will document it here. So you can do a web search, you can get, Denver auto related information. Maybe you want to go, instead of saying auto, you want to do dealer. Maybe you want to do different cities. Maybe you want to type in Colorado. It's really up to you. Denver is the most targeted because that's what your research is towards, and automobile dealerships is what it's towards us now, but maybe you want to put in dealer, and it will tell you all the information that they found. If it can retrieve a lot of the emails, that's great. That's web search. You can use places search, citation search. In general, there's programs out there that you can review on your own that I already listed out that will mine the email addresses for you, and then you can click send email and you can send an email to those people. The email sending part can be heavily automated, and so can the lead mining part of it. And again, I'll be following up in another video to go over the tool section in more detail. So let's just review what we just went over. The real difference in what we're talking about with the strategy is what you do with the initial lead whenever you fail, because sometimes proposals fail. And it's all about what you are going to do at that point in time. If you're going to loop back around and start fresh, or if you're going to stay on path, not trash the work and the time that you already have into that initial lead, and if you're going to stay in that locale, in that niche, use the time, use the energy, use the reports, use the resources that you already have to show proof of industry information and proof of the research and intelligence that you have in that locale per that business category to the further audience that's out there, and thus the gold at the end of the rainbow. That's where the bread and butter is at with this, and it completely makes sense. Is it the easiest sales strategy in the world? No. And those don't really exist, not in a consultative, high-end dollar marketing sales type of an atmosphere. But this one will, and this is what sets it apart. And you have the capability to do this versus your competition, and why? Because you have our software, you have our system, you have our research team, not to mention the sales consultants behind you. So this is the hyper-local niche lead workflow on how to turn one lead into potentially 50 and not give up after your initial lead you went after did not close for you, and you turn failure and you turn it into success. And that is what this program is all about. So my recommendation for people when you're looking for leads, use this lead workflow. Don't hesitate to go into Google Maps and go straight to Kansas City and find the highest ranking, or find someone with a nice online presence, or someone that's well known in a particular business category. Throw them in our system to get your research back and your keyword information, and if then you try to get a hold of them. If they don't even respond to you because they weren't a qualified lead to begin with, you know what to do. Bundle up all of the research, bundle up, do a video on it, send them the sales collateral, put together your email template, send it out to all their competitors, and one of those is going to get back to you and you're going to close them. You can get started right away. And for those people that have a lot of older proposals that are in the system, maybe even from a year ago, 6 months ago, that now you're thinking of it and you're looking back and you're like, wow, I've had like 20 proposal requests just sitting there. I've closed X, Y, and Z, but still I probably got like 20 older ones just sitting there. I should go back and I should do this with all of those because I've got gold sitting on my archive list on my proposals because I got turned down and I gave up, but you can still go back to those, reactivate that information and time that you had and send it out with this marketing and sales strategy. So hopefully this really helps to boom your sales. I know that if you follow the strategy well, it's going to do phenomenal for you. And last but not least, I almost forgot to show you where to find this presentation so that you can get a hold of the email template and the link to the example screener video and the video script and all of that. If you come into the document library and search for anything in this title, turning one lead into 50 hyper local niche lead workflow, I just typed in hyper and it showed up in here. So you can go to all documents and search for it in your document library underneath resources, and it's in the category, or if you want to go to sales education, it's in that category as well. So that's how you go and you find that document. So best of luck in sales, and I'll be following up with another tutorial here within the week about a review on the different tools that you can be using to automate mining those competitors' emails and organizing the email template that you send out and auto sending it from the system.
Thank you.